Hey, how you doing? My name is Chris. Welcome to my shop. What I have for you today is something I'm kind of a geek about, and it's a process of finishing. And I don't consider myself an expert in this, but there are people much more knowledgeable than I. But I do know a few things because I've spent a fair amount of time studying it. And what I want to do today is a quick experiment to show you, more than anything else, what happens when you put a stain of one type or another on a piece of wood that is prone to blotch. And in this case, I'm talking about pine, which is probably the hardest wood in the world, in my opinion, to put a good, even stain on a piece of wood. If you think about staining the way you think about painting a wall, the paint you want to have an even color across the entire piece of whatever it is you're painting. Stain is no different than that, but the difference is that stain is not covering the wood. Stain is being absorbed into the wood, and you want that absorption to be even across the face of the wood so that it has a consistent color, and something called blotching doesn't occur. Blotching is basically when you put a stain or a color across a piece of wood, sometimes you'll end up with a light spot and a dark spot, light spot, dark spot. It's very inconsistent as far as the color goes. That's known as blotching. Today, I want to find out which one of these products will blotch less on the most prone piece of wood that blotches, and that's pine. And today's products I'm going to be using is Minwax. It's just an oil-based stain. It doesn't have to be Minwax. It could be any stain. It's oil-based. I'm using a water-based stain from General Finishes, and I'm going to use a wax-based stain from Briwax. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, so I can't promise this is going to be a short video, but I will try to make it as concise as possible. But stick around. I'm going to run this through my planer. I'm going to slice it up into 3 equal boards, do the sanding on it, and then we're going to apply this products directly to the face of this pine and see if there's a difference between oil, water, and wax when it comes to blotching. That's headed your way next. All right, this is that 2x6. I have resawn it into 3 equal pieces, and I'm using the same piece of wood because I want the absorption rate for each piece that I'm using today to be as close to the others as humanly possible. In prep for this, I've labeled the backs of each one. You know, this one is the oil, and there's another one that is the wax, and then I use H2O for the water. And I've sanded each one of these up to 180 grit, which is normally as far as I typically sand wood before putting stain on it. So that's going to be, that's the only prep work I've done to this wood. It's the only prep work I'm going to do before applying these products. But I will take time to tell you that if you are going to color wood or you're going to stain wood, you really should use either a pre-stain or a pre-color conditioner because that will help with blotch. I happen to use this pre-color conditioner made by Charles Neal because in my opinion it's the absolute best product on the market as far as preventing blotch while staining. This product, while readily available, is okay. Honestly, but I would recommend this to anybody who was interested. And if you are interested, I'll leave a link down in the description so you can have a look at this yourself. All right, but what I want to do is start by putting a coat of each product on the face of each one of these pre-prepared boards as far as sanding goes. And I want to check out and see if one actually performs worse or one performs better than the other two as far as blotch when you're putting it initially on a board that has only been sanded and not treated with something to prevent blotch. So let me get a coat of on each one of these boards and then we'll have a look. Okay, just as an FYI, this, if you can't tell, I'll try to get up to the camera so you can read it, is the Minwax Early American stain. This is the oil-based. This, by the way, is the General Finishes version of Early American. as you can tell, there's a bit of a difference. So when you're going to buy your stains, understand that from company to company, you may not get the exact same color, okay? And Briwax doesn't make an early American. From my experience, I've found that the dark oak from Briwax matches the early American finish, actually much closer to the general finishes than it matches the Minwax. But what we wanted to look at today was blotching. And we want to take a look and see which one of these shows the most blotching and which one shows the least, as it may help you decide what sort of stain you want to choose in the future if you don't want to do a heck of a lot of work. So let me do a close-up on these boards and let you decide for yourself which one you think did the better job. I'll let you decide which one you think did the better job as far as not blotching on a raw, untreated piece of wood, but I think it's pretty obvious to to see which one did the worst job. And by rating the job, I'm going back to that painted wall scenario I started with before, where you want a consistent color from left to right all the way across the piece and not a lot of change in the actual color. And it's obvious to me that the worst case scenario is this oil-based stain. And I don't want to just point out Minwax, because any oil-based stain will do that to pine. It's not a company thing. That's just an oil-based on pine, untreated. That's what happens. The other two that I would say it comes down to would be either the Briwax or the water-based stain here. And I think out of the two, the most consistent from side to side, up and down in color would be the water-based stain. The Briwax didn't do a bad job, but you can obviously see there's a difference from this side to this side, and you can see the dark spots here. But to be quite honest with you, every single one of these pieces is suffering from blotch that could have been controlled had we used a pre-color conditioner and or a pre-stain. Now, it would have been controlled to a certain extent, but it may still happen if you don't use the correct product. And in my opinion, once again, the correct product to use is this, because this makes blotching absolutely non-existent. But I want to talk to you, surprisingly, not about the water-based stain and not about the oil-based stain either. I'm going to talk to you about this, because this has benefits that the other two do not. So let me get my gloves off, sit back down, and we'll talk about it. All right, before I start talking about Briwax real quick, let me give you a quick recap here. This is the oil that we used, the stain. This is the wax-based colorant from Briwax, and this is the water-based that we used from General Finishes. And remember, this and this were both labeled Early American. Yeah, there are differences. And that's the first heads up I want to give you. The reason why I did this video today is because not only did I want to show you, but I wanted to see for myself if on raw wood, one of these would blotch less than the other. And at least in this example here today, using the products I've used, this one actually performed the best as far as not blotching. And the reason for me to do this is because this is a product most of you will find in your big box stores and become very readily available. And if it's not the Minwax pre-stain, you'll find something very similar. It'll be a copycat of this same product. And so the concern was, if this is going to be available to most of you, and this is what most of you are going to grab when you go to buy a pre-stained or pre-color conditioner at the store, which stain or colorant would be the best for you to use without that much concern? Because this, in my opinion, this works okay. It's not great, but it's okay. I can tell you right now that if I had used this product on this piece of wood here, prior to putting this the stain on it, would it look this bad? No, it wouldn't look this bad, but I don't think it would look as good as this. So this combined with this, I would feel pretty comfortable about. This combined with this, I would have a lot of questions about, because the blotch that happens on this piece of wood, and to be honest with you, if you want a piece of wood, if you like this, and this is something that you think, oh, wow, that looks kind of cool, you might as well take a torch to your wood and burn it and then sand off the surface and then finish it, because that's exactly what you're getting here. That's not what stain is intended to do. I'll go back to the reference I made earlier about painting your wall. When you paint a wall, let's say you want to paint it white. You want a consistent white color across it. You don't want to see dark and light spots across the piece, your wall. I mean, let's be honest, that would be rather annoying. Stain is intended to do just the same thing paint does, except that it's intended to be absorbed into the wood evenly to give it a color. And let's be honest, that's not an even color across this wood. You've got black mixed in with different shades of brown, turning this into what looks like a burned piece of wood, to be quite frank. And this, while I still don't consider it to be good, is a heck of a lot better than that. So this, I have a funny feeling, would work okay with a water-based stain and or dye. This is, by the way, a dye. It says it's a stain, but it's a dye. So if you're going to be doing finishing, I want to give you a heads up on the products you're using. If you're using oil-based and a pre-stain conditioner, you're going to get something that's going to result in maybe not this extreme, but it's going to be similar to this. You're not going to get a piece that looks like this. And if you are worried about that consistent color, that's an issue. And that's why I wanted to do this today, because I wanted to show you the differences between each one of these products and what it will do on a raw piece of wood, untreated. I could sit here and do an entire video about how good this product is, and Charles Neal would probably be very happy with me if I did. And Charles, I love you, man, but that's not what this video is about. This will prevent this. I can guarantee it. And this will make this look even better when it comes to that consistent color across the face of the wood. But this isn't a video about which pre-stain or pre-color conditioner you should be using. It was about blotch and about applying stain to a raw piece of wood to show a difference. But the difference I was wanting to show was because I was wondering what this product actually I would feel comfortable working with, since this is going to be what's most available to you. And obviously, in this scenario, it turned out to be the water-based finish. But I want to talk to you about Briwax real quick, because there hasn't been a lot, that at least that I've seen, of people talking about Briwax and what this product is actually good for, because each one of these has its pluses and minuses. And this, if you're not into finishing and you're looking to get a job done, may be an option for you. And if you'll give me a second to get my old man glasses on here, I'll tell you why I think this is an absolutely awesome product. The pluses for Briwax is it's a one-step finisher. It cleans the wood, it colors the wood, and because it's wax-based, it is the finish for the wood. So what you saw me do with the Briwax, this, if it was on a piece that I was, finishing up, this would be done. Whereas this would require possibly several coats of finish, several steps of sanding in between before I got the finish that I actually wanted over the top of it. This, while it isn't good at all, in my opinion, because it's still blotched, it's not that either. So let me answer a quick question. Can you use one of these products with this? Yes, absolutely you can. And it will help prevent some of this blotch. But it's still going to blotch a little bit. But it's not ever going to be to the extent that this is. Briwax, in case you don't know it, was developed back in the 1800s. And it was developed in, I believe, Britain by a gentleman who was interested in what his main purpose for developing Briwax was to create a product that was great for restoration on antiques, and it does a wonderful job on that. If you have an old piece of furniture that has possible scratches on it, where it has cut through and you can noticeably see them, Briwax applied to an antique piece of furniture will do a good job of filling in those scratches, those little nicks, those cuts, things of that nature that make it look old and maybe not so new. This was developed to make it look new again. And it does an awesome job in restoring older furniture. So if you're looking to do a restoration job on possibly a family heirloom or an older piece of wood, or you're doing one for a client, you can use Briwax and it will do a good job on it. There are drawbacks, though, to using Briwax. And just like there are drawbacks to using an oil and a water-based stain as well, the drawbacks are Briwax is intended for interior use only. So you can't actually put Briwax on a piece of furniture, stick it outside, and expect it to stand up to Mother Nature. It's just not going to happen. Another drawback to Briwax is you're only going to get a satin finish out of Briwax. So if you're looking to do a semi-gloss or a high-gloss finish on a piece, you really can't use Briwax and get that. You're going to get a satin finish. And before somebody asks, the answer is no. You cannot actually put a finish over the top of Briwax. Once you put... Because this is, let's be honest, it's a wax. Hello. You put a water-based polyurethane or something like that over the top of this, it's not going to adhere to it. And the same with an oil-based. It won't adhere to it because this is a wax finish. So you either have to be happy with a satin or you don't get anything at all. So that's one of the drawbacks to it. The other thing is because it is a wax-based finish, it's not as durable as what you would, if you would put a lacquer or a poly or even a shellac over the top of a piece of finished wood. That's going to have a lot more durability than this basic wax. So this requires some maintenance on your part in order to keep it looking the way you want it to. And the last drawback that I can think of as far as Briwax goes is that it's available only in limited colors. Like I mentioned before, it's only available in actual 9 colors. The 10th one they list is a clear, so I don't consider, it's like white is not a color, it's a shade. Briwax is only available in 9 different colors, but if you're looking to get a job done and out the door, and you're happy with a satin finish, and one of the colors that Briwax has available, this is actually a really nice product to use because it's quick, it's easy, and it's out the door, and you don't have to spend a ton of time trying to get a great finish on a piece, because if you're happy with this, that may be a way to go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. I did this basically because I wanted to find out what product this would actually work well with, and in my opinion, it's the water-based stain or dye in this case. So if you guys are I know a lot of you do not enjoy finishing the way I do, and you want to kind of get a piece done and out the door, but if you're looking to have a certain look to your piece, I don't want you to spend a lot of time building a really nice piece and then expecting it to turn out this way by using this and ending up with something like this, which you would have to resand and all kinds of fun stuff. Wouldn't be the way to go. It's a blotch on raw wood. Which ones do what, which ones are better for what, is really an individual choice. I can tell you that in my opinion, I happen to love oil-based stains, but I only love them when they're properly treated prior to putting them on. I think they give them a rich luster and a nice, really, oil-based stains will give you a different look than a water-based stain will. And in my opinion, oil-based for me is the way to go, but I have to spend the time and do the work to make that look good. Whereas Briwax, if you're not into finishing, maybe something you're interested in, because it is, at least in my opinion, acceptable. You guys take care. I hope you dug this. I will talk to you later, but in the meantime, you get out in your shop and go, I don't know, finish something. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.